Welcome to the Profit Lifestyle for Fitness Entrepreneurs podcast. My name is Scott Carpenter. I am a personal trainer turned multiple gym owner and investor who's already been through the rock bottom and near bankruptcy in the fitness business. But I've been lucky enough to come out the other side and have turned the profits of my fitness business into indestructible wealth. I'll be sharing the no bullshit strategies, tactics, and advice to win big in business and in life. So if you're a gym owner, a personal trainer, or an online coach who wants to make multiple six figures in take-home profit and have the freedom with your time to actually enjoy it, subscribe now to this podcast. This is the show for you. All right, welcome back to the Profit Lifestyle, everybody. I'm Scott Carpenter. With me is Andy Boymilla, as always. And today we're going to share some fun stories that if you're in the fitness business, you've probably had something similar, whether you've been sued, threatened to be sued, blackmailed, a little bit about gym owner horror stories, because man, I tell you what, as soon as you become a business owner, you have a target on your back and it can get wild. And I was just thinking about this the other day, working with a gym owner in California, and he was considering bringing on an independent contractor to pay rent in his personal training studio. And I had to share with them, I go, okay, here are the things, if you're going to do that, here's the pros and cons, but if you're going to do that, here's some things to look out for. And it just reminded me, I'm like, we got to talk about some of this stuff. It's going
to be fun. It might get emotional. Who knows? And I'm really excited to just kind of dump and share some horror stories.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing is, like, when you're a business owner, and this doesn't even necessarily relate to specifically gyms or fitness businesses, when you're any business owner, it's lonely at the top. And when you go through shit like this, like, it can feel so isolating because your friends that have 9-to-5s aren't going to understand. Your significant other, unless they're in the business with you, isn't going to understand to the same extent that you are. And this is a business that you built. This is your baby. And now it's being attacked or slandered or whatever it may be. And you're like, it's the end of the world. I'm here to tell you it's not. Both Scott and I have gone through so much shit and we've come out the other side. It's not the end of the world, but you're not alone. So we're going to share some stories today.
No, you're not alone. And mine first happened like legitimately from when I first got the business. And I was still working at Lifetime Fitness as personal training manager of that department. And I had to get out of there. I just had to get out of that job. And I found a business on bizbuysell.com, and it was a failing group training studio. And it had a couple independent personal trainers there paying rent. So anyways, I didn't have much money, but I think I put $5,000 as a deposit down as we went through due diligence. And I put another $5,000 to close, and I took the rest in a seller financing note. And I got warned that one of the independent personal trainers there that was paying rent at $600 a month, his name was Q, or that's what he went by. It was just a crazy thing because they did literally 10 visits, $100 on punch cards. And this personal trainer, an independent trainer, had his big poster up for his Hate It or Love It Fitness personal training business right to the right of the door, which is freaking wild. And I learned it was like a free-for-all. So if people walked in the door, the couple independent trainers would try to sign him up. Like, wild how you would do that. So I come in as the buyer in this, and I had a month overlap where I was still working at Lifetime while I bought this. And because I didn't know if I could make money on this, I didn't have any breathing room financially. So I'm like, I need to kind of work both of these things. So I was going in there at like super early in the morning, going to work. Anyways, it was nuts. But the owners warned me that this guy's kind of an asshole. And he certainly was. I mean, when I was there, because I brought an employee with me, when I was there and talking at night, like it was like 6 p.m. or so, he was wrapping up with a client. I was talking to this other guy there, and we were kind of talking about what to do in our plans taking this over. When he was done and walked out with his two clients, he turned the lights out on us. Like just trying to assert power dominance where he has none, right? I'm like, oh, I can see where this is going to head. They told me he's going to try and short you on money or make excuses or pay late or this or that. and it's due on the 1st, right? So anyways, I first take this over as effective like August 1st, maybe 2012, I think. And it was short by a couple $100, right? I knew that. And so I was going to see him over the weekend or something. And I know where this is heading, right? So, so I had a letter drafted and prepared already. And I think it was like a Saturday, must have been. I'm like, hey, Q, the rent was a little short. And he's like, yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. I've been training fewer people. I'm like, well, that really doesn't matter. And he's like, and you took my poster down too. Well, yes, it's not your business, right? And then I'm like, that doesn't really matter, right? And then he's like, well, yeah, and also I paid the other owners, for the couple weeks in advance. I'm like, no, I already talked to them. No, you didn't. And I figured this is how it was going to go. So effective immediately, I handed him the letter. This relationship is terminated, right? So this is it. So I know there's a few items in here, like a couple kettlebells and a couple things that are yours. So I'll help you out with that. And he's like, hell no, you can't do this, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, it's happened. I did do this. So let's grab your stuff. He's like, no, I'm coming back. I'm like, you will not come back. And he goes, no, I'm coming back. I'm like, listen, if you come back, I will have a ride from the Phoenix Police Department to take you home. Okay, do you understand that? So we need to get your stuff. And he said, no, he's coming back. He was adamant about it. He left. Okay. So I get tipped off from the old owners that when he's going to show up. And I believe I took off work. I did because it was a weekday. I remember this. There was another independent trainer coaching somebody in there at this time. So it was really awkward. So he comes in all hot. And I'm like, Q, you can't come in. And he just goes right past me in the door because I see him coming in the glass storefront, right? Goes right past me in the door. And here's the thing, the lock, it's not like a deadbolt on the inside. It's a keyhole on both sides. Oh. So I'm not playing games. I'm not here to be held hostage by anybody, So at the end of the day, I locked the door from the inside and it said, take a seat. I'm going to call you a ride. And so I called the police. I called them early. I'm like, hey, is there anything I can do? Blah, blah, blah. Can I warn you in advance so you can arrest him? They're like, well, technically, no, he has to come and then we issue a citation, this and that. Then it's trespassing if he shows up again. I'm like, well, that's a ridiculous system, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I was prepared for this. So I locked him on the inside. I go, yep, I'm going to call your ride. And this motherfucker puts his, sits in the chair, puts his feet up on the desk and will refuse to get his stuff. So I'm like, well, I know that one was yours. And I know that one was yours and blah, blah, blah. So anyways, cops show up. And again, there's another trainer in there working with a client. So it's the most awkward thing in the world. But I just call it out. I'm just like, guys, I know this is pretty awkward. My apologies. It's not what I want to do. But it was pretty funny to me anyways. But anyways, cops came, issued a trespassing warning, all that kind of stuff. He got out. So we got all the stuff out. Then it didn't even stop there, okay? Because he relied on that place to make his income and stuff too, right? Mm-hmm. And his girlfriend, who I'd never met, sent me a huge email blackmailing me. And this was in Moon Valley's that neighborhood area. And she's like, I lived here for this amount of years. And Moon Valley is a very tight space. And I know one of the current or former people, I don't know, it was Heather. She works for the news. And if you don't give Q his job back, which it wasn't a job at all, but if you don't let him stay in there, I still have the email. It's great to look at every now and again. Basically, I'm going to trash your business and this, that, and the other. So she blackmailed me. His girlfriend blackmailed me to get him back in there. In writing, by the way, which was hilarious. But again, I am just on the verge of quitting my job here. And I bought a business and I'm paying money out on it that's losing money. So it was still scary as shit because I'm going to have to forgo this $600 a month, right? Yeah. This person is going to trash my name across the neighborhood and the community as best as she can, right? And all this stuff happens right away. I've got no money to spare too. So it's kind of funny to think about it, but at the time it is oh shit, and she could destroy the business that I just bought and I'm putting my neck out on the line. But what's even funnier about this, though, this tells you the class of these kinds of people. She was a nail tech, right? Her vanity license plate says, "I nail you."
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's the kind of
Tells me a
caliber
lot about a
person.
person. Yeah.
It does. It does. But literally, that is my first experience as a business owner. Right off the bat, got to deal with that kind of bullshit, cops, blackmailing. First experience. This is my first couple weeks as a business owner. I'm like, well, buckle up, man. It's going to be a long ride.
Nice. So I've never been blackmailed that I know of. No one, yeah, no, never been blackmailed. So I can't equate that way.
Yet.
But I did. So this was probably, so we opened 2015, probably 2017, right? So we used to be a CrossFit gym. So we used to do the CrossFit Open every single year. And we used to do two events. We used to do a Thursday night throwdown and a Friday night lights. And it was the first night of the Open. It was the first Thursday night throwdown. And I remember it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I get a message, a picture from my coach that went to go open up the studio of a big orange tag on the front door. And I was like, the fuck is this? And it's a cease and desist from the building department. So my space is a wood floor. Now, when we first rented the space, we said, okay, like clearly we need to reinforce the floor. So the contractor that I hired, I didn't know as much about business as I do now. I said, hey, I want you to reinforce the floor. So I paid him and everything. Come to find out, like 2 years down the road, the building department's in the basement for some other reason. And they look around and they go, this isn't to code. So the contractor that I hired when I first opened the space to reinforce the floor didn't do it to code, didn't pull permits, nothing in regards to it. So the building department was literally like, this is unsafe. You cannot operate. And I was like, what do I do? Like, what? I have an event here tonight. Like, what am I supposed to do? They're like, well, you're supposed to close your doors and like not reopen until you fix this. So luckily, I had a good relationship with my building commissioner, and I called him up and I said, hey, I just got a cease and desist from your guys. Meet me over at the studio. Let's walk through this. Let's figure out what we need to do. So we walk through it, and he's like, look, like your floor is not going to fall apart, but you do need to reinforce this. And I said, great. Tell me what you want me to do. He's like, we'll hire a structural engineer. I said, which structural engineer do you want me to hire? And so we had to hire a structural engineer. We had to hire a contractor to then do all the drawings, do all the measurements, and then reinforce the floor. We got it all done, but I went to my landlord and I was like, hey, the floor needs reinforcing. And he's like, well, that's on you because it's your space. It's distinctly for you. I had to pay out of pocket twice for my floor. I don't remember how much I paid the original contractor, and clearly I shortchanged myself because they weren't the right fit. But I can tell you, because I vividly remember how much the second update cost me.
How much was it?
$20,000.
And for a
20K.
CrossFit gym at that stage, that's...
I was open for 2 years. Do you think I had 20K in my bank? No, I did not. And that's 20K that I spent that no one sees, that I don't get to take when I leave. Like that's 20K that went poof, disappeared into the ether because I messed up when I first opened the space. I didn't do it right.
So we save people all the time from those big ass things that you'll never see or never know or anticipate until it smacks you across the face.
Right.
That's one of my favorite things to do is like when somebody's negotiating a lease or a renewal or something like that. It's like, how many HVAC units do you have?
Right. Yeah. You love taking a look at HVACs.
Oh my God. Because they're like in Arizona, to replace one of those things, it's like 18 grand. People don't understand that. And almost every single triple net lease, that's on the business owner. And that's something that you just don't think you can negotiate, or you don't even know to look for in the lease, or you don't even think until
No,
it comes
most people
up.
wouldn't even think about that because it's not within the actual space. So they
Right.
go, why am I responsible for this? It's part of the
Yeah.
building. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, actually, according to most triple net leases, it's on you because it degrades due to daily use from you actually operating the space. And that's
And
why
because
most
the
landlords
landlord's
will put it.
leases are all written in their favor. Why
Oh, of
not?
course, yeah. Right.
Right. And
But yeah.
yeah, it's nuts. And you can see that with build out costs, with permits. When
Yep.
I bought the building for my first gym across the street and moved into it, um, and this is where you got to be very careful with usage. And for most of
Mm-hmm.
you, especially with how you're assigned with the cities and local permitting, you don't really want to be classified as a gym, guys. And most of you aren't, except for your open access gyms, right? Where you
Right.
pay 30, $50 a month and they do their own thing. That's different, right? That's what that classification is. For those of you running a large group, a small group, a PT business, whatever it is, you do not want to be classified as that, because you can run into a lot of building code issues.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, when I had got under contract to buy this thing, closed on it. We did the initial engineering things. I did the SBA 504 loan, which is a nightmare, but it's an amazing loan, really worthwhile. We roll in the build out costs into this whole down payment and everything. And we have our budgets and our projections and all that kind of stuff. And they'll only finance a certain amount and blah, blah, blah. But it all got clear, it all got qualified, closed. And all of a sudden, during the build out phase, they're like, hey, we have a problem because of whatever law that was passed a few years ago. When something is being changed from business usage, this used to be a 2,500 square foot convenience store. Now it needs to get sprinkler systems, fire sprinkler systems.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, how much is
Oh.
that going to cost? And then I think it was like 30, 40, $50,000 at first.
It's usually around 40, like on average.
At first. Then what we realized is the sidewalk connection with the sewer, the water, whatever it is, that needed to be expanded, the diameter, the valves, whatever that
Yep.
crap is, right? So now we're looking at $180,000. And yes.
Not only that, not only are you looking at $180,000, the timeline of your build out just went from, let's say, 3 months to like 9 months, because organizing those guys to come in and dig up the sidewalk to do the new pipe fitting and the bigger, that takes forever.
Forever. Because everybody's got their hand in the pot. You need
Yeah.
a new engineer for this, and then you need the city
Yep.
permits, and that takes 8 weeks to have them look at it and kick it back for something. The engineer takes another 3 weeks. Then it goes back. That's just the game. Commercial real estate can be horrendous, right?
Yep.
And so 180 grand, and the engineer was adamant there's no workaround. But so that's like my trigger right there. I'm like, tell me no. And,
Right.
and now I'm going to figure out how to do this shit. And so what it was, I'm like, hey, we need to revisit, like, let's look at this. And so like we are a personal services facility. We are not in a gym. So we were able to get, and I was told adamant no, right? But I dug around and did that. We got that changed. And all of a sudden, 180 grand that would just go out the door, which does not improve the property value in the least. I would have just lost $180,000. Or if I couldn't get that rolled in finance with the debt to income ratios and this and that, I would have had to sell the building.
Yeah.
And then my lease would have been out in the other location too, and I would have been businessless, right? And so anyways, I found the workaround, we got it done, and all of a sudden, I didn't have to spend $180,000. But, I mean, it's just a racket, because here's the thing, it's 2,500 square feet. Right? It's a brick building filled with rubber floors filled with iron. Like, there's nothing to burn in that bitch. You know what I mean? And you're telling me we need 180 grand worth of fire sprinklers in there.
Yep. It's insane wild. Because all they're doing, all the town is doing, all the inspectors are doing is going by a checklist, right? They don't look outside the box. They don't try to move things around. It was, so when we were building out our space, when we did the design for it and everything, we originally, so our front, the front of our entranceway has like 3 steps going up to it. And when I first went to the town, they said, oh, well, you're going to need to be ADA compliant. And I was like, I mean, we're a membership space, so no, because technically I can deny anybody. Like, not that I would. I'm just saying I could, right?
Yeah.
They're like, well, you need to be ADA compliant. I was like, all right, fine. So there was an old window on one of the sides of the building that abutted an alleyway. So I was like, cool, like I'll cut that open and I'll make that an ADA accessible entrance. We went through the first round of planning perfectly fine. We start construction. We're like halfway through construction and the building department comes through for an inspection. And they're like, well, where's your ADA compliant like entrance? I was like, oh, well, we're going to put it right there. We're going to open up that wall. And they're like, you can't do that. That's a public alleyway, a public access way. That can't be your ADA compliance. And I was like, but you told me it could. And they're like, no, that's wrong. You can't do that. And I was like, what do I do then? And they're like, well, you can put a ramp in the front of the building. And I was like, okay, well, what does that look like? They're like, well, you're going to have to cut into your space. Mind you, my space is 1,400 square feet.
Sweet.
1,400 square feet. And a ramp, for those of you guys that don't know, the ramp, a ramp needed for ADA compliance is a 1/20 run. That means for every foot up it goes, you need 20 feet of run.
Holy shit.
Yes. Yes. Plus
Are
landings.
you kidding me?
No, I'm dead serious, which means that I would have had to cut into my space a good 14 to 20 feet, right? Because right abutting my front entranceway is a sidewalk. So I couldn't go out into the sidewalk. And I was like, you have to tell me there's another way. And they're like, we don't see any other way. And I was like, are you kidding? I was like, I'm dead. I'm dead in the water. Like, I can't continue this project if this is what I have to do. And I looked around at my space and I said, well, I've got a back door. My back door leads right into my space. There's no closets or hallways or anything. And right now it's 30 inches wide. I know for ADA compliance, it needs to be 36 inches wide. Can I cut that door wider to make it my ADA compliant entrance? And they said, well, it's your back door, so technically no. And I said, okay, well, you said technically no. So what do I have to do to make it compliant? They said, well, what you have to do is you have to bring drawings and a letter to the ADA board in Boston and apply to have your back door be approved for your ADA entrance. And I was like, I will do that. And I remember I drew up all the plans, had everything done. I went to the ADA board in Boston on a Friday afternoon because I knew it would be dead. And I hand delivered this package of documents to them. And
Smart.
I like hand delivered it to like some clerk. And I was like, look, I know this is not your say, but like, what are my odds here? And she was like, well, it's Friday afternoon. So like, because I learned about this on like Thursday, right? So it's like, I'm literally scrambling to get this done. She's like, look, it's not my say. It looks like it'll be good, but the office is going to be closing. So like, you're not going to find out till next week. And I was like, okay, like I don't have a choice here. So I hand delivered to the clerk and I'm not kidding you. I am shitting bricks the entire weekend. And I don't think I got noticed until like maybe like Wednesday or Thursday. So literally an entire week. I am literally like, my anxiety levels, my cortisol levels were through the roof.
Oh yeah.
Luckily,
it's do or die. And were because
right,
you were in this build, like you were
I was in the
contractually
we
committed. Yeah.
Literally, I had leased the space. We had started build out. Like we were like 3 to 4 weeks into the build out. It wasn't, and I signed a 3-year lease. It wasn't like
you would have been financially ruined.
I would have been devastated, completely devastated, because the project would have had to stop. I couldn't use the space for what I wanted to use it for. I would have had to either pivot or eat my rent for 3 years.
Yeah.
With no business and just a space sitting there. Luckily, the ADA board approved it and I was fine, but it really was one of those scenarios where like, if this does not pass, I am, pardon my French, fucked, right? Like there's no way out of this. It was ridiculous. And all I can remember is like hand delivering that package and being like, I'm not a religious person, but I was like, please, if there's one thing you've ever done for me, just let this pass. Like, please. Oh God, that was so stressful. I don't want to. It is.
That stuff is so stressful. Oh, and again, like you said, as a business owner, when everything, you've got all the personal guarantees. You are you know what I mean? This is your livelihood, your financial well-being, everything.
Right. Like I took out loans really to pay for the build out. Right. Like our build out wasn't big. We were a CrossFit gym. That's one of the reasons why CrossFit gyms pop up everywhere is because the actual startup costs are very low. But still, I didn't have another job. I was in my late 20s, right? I was a kid. I didn't have a backup plan. I had taken out personal loans against myself for this build out. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. But luckily everything went through. Thank whatever deity out there you believe in.
Yeah. And guys, this is lessons in commercial real estate. You got to be really careful because these are the things like, I don't want you getting in this shit. Right. You know what I mean? And it happens. And I've seen it happen so many different ways. And man, even just getting that SBA 504 loan financed.
Yep.
And here's the thing. I'm actually, I also own part of Castile Armory, which is a sword making company, right? Because that's what I love to do. I love to do historic European martial arts as tournaments and stuff. So I invested in my favorite sword manufacturer. It's unbelievable. And man, I tell you what, we're going on like 9 months of refi right now because we bought a building almost 3 years ago. Seller financing, then you have to get it refied. And you just cannot believe anything anybody says in commercial real estate. Like you have to question it. You can't take their word for anything, particularly like when it comes to loan officers or anything like that. And especially if you're dealing with SBA loans, there's 3 parties involved. There's the government. If it's an SBA 504 loan, there's 2 loan holders and they don't talk to each other. There's engineers involved in that. There's permit people in the city and in the state and all these different things. And they will tell you everything looks good. And then like at the last minute, they'll pull the plug on the financing. Like you have to be so careful, careful. And I mean, I had that. One last thing that we'll talk about on this episode. And you know what? Let's do another episode on this because there's more horror stories to share.
There's so many more. We'll do one more.
We'll do one more after this because I know we have to get going. And then I'm sure we'll revisit because man, I could give you 20. But holy shit. So this was in that same building getting this financed, right? And the SBA 504, everything's good. Then they need more stuff and they need more stuff and they need more stuff and they need more stuff. And all of a sudden, we need an asbestos test. Oh, it has asbestos. Fuck. Right? And then they're like, oh, but wait, it might be a negligible amount. Like, so when I hired you to do asbestos testing, it's just a binary yes or no. Yeah. So what are my options now? Oh, you either have to pay to get it specially environmentally removed and all this kind of stuff from one wall we had to take down. Or you can pay more money and roll the dice. And if it's under a certain threshold, you don't have to do anything. And I'm like, motherfuckers, like that's not standard in this. No. So I paid for it. It turns out it was a negligible amount.
Thankfully,
you know what I mean? And now we saved 2 months and whatever remediation and all that kind of, but it's such a fucking racket. But anyways, closing in this, we're guaranteed to close by this date. No, we're guaranteed to close by this date. We're guaranteed to close by this date. Didn't happen. My contract with the buyer to be able to close on this thing was running out. I had to renew it by 2 months. To be safe, I pushed it out by 2 months.
Yep.
We're still not there. Wow. And then I got to go back to this guy and he's starting to get pissed because he's got holding costs on it. He doesn't even, is it even going to close? All this sort of thing. And so he's like, I'm going to need a bigger down or earnest deposit and it's going to have to be non-refundable.
Ugh.
And then I'm like, fuck. And that's reasonable. You know what I mean? He's not being unreasonable.
From the seller standpoint, it's 100% reasonable. And I get where he's coming from. That doesn't mean that it makes it any easier on our end.
So now I got to give you an extra 20 grand. And if it doesn't close, I'm out that extra 20 grand on top of what I already was. Right. And then I was guaranteed to go. This was at Christmas break because we had to close by the end of the year. December 31st.
Good luck getting anything done between Christmas break.
And guarantees. And I remember my family was in town at this point. And we were getting out of like whatever Star Wars movie that was launching in the theaters. So I think this is probably like 2019, like December 2019. I could be off by a year. Maybe. Yeah, I think so. But anyways, like, and I just came out and I was just nervous as hell the whole Christmas break because I'm out. Not only am I not going to have a lease to go back into because that's expiring and I'm going to be out all this money and homeless and all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, I called him up as we were getting out of the theater. This is December 26th, I remember. I called the guy who's like the head, you know what I mean? The guy kind of overseeing this whole thing at one of these banks. And I'm like, listen, man, It's December 26th. I'm not getting warm and fuzzies. And he's like, no, it's going to happen. I'm like, no. I mean, it's been, you've said that at 3 or 4 other points in time, and it hasn't happened. We need a plan B. There has to be a plan B, because I would bet my life this isn't going to happen. And it didn't. So what he did, he got a bridge loan, a temporary bridge loan in place. We were able to close on the 30th or the 31st or something like that. The SBA didn't finalize and get the actual SBA loan for another like 2 or 3 months after that. You know what I mean? And nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares that you're going to completely not have a business anymore. You're going to flush 40 grand out the window. Right? It's not their business. It's not their livelihood. It's not their family. They don't care. And so you have to be your own advocate on this stuff. So anyways, I know we're going over long, and I know we got to move on. So
yeah,
we'll cut it here, but we're going to do another episode and share some more horror stories, because 1, you can learn from these things.
Right.
And 2, you're not alone when this shit happens to you.
You are 100% not alone.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that makes, us, Scott and I and Taylor and, the team at the Profit Lifestyle work so well, is we've been through it. And so it's our job to help guide other business owners to make sure that they don't make the same mistakes. Because I didn't have anybody when I first opened my business. I didn't have anybody year 5 when COVID hit, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And, we're here to help. And so if you guys ever need help with stuff like this, if you ever want us to look over leases, or you just have like a situation where someone's blackmailing you because you kicked them out of your space.
Can I just talk to somebody and get some advice, please?
Right.
Or encouragement, or an assurance that shit's going to be okay. Goes a long way.
Please reach out to us, shoot us an email, reach out to us on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, send us a DM, however you can find us. I want to hear your story, and most of the time I'll tell you it'll be okay. But either way, my wife tells me I'm a really good listener, so I'm always here if you guys need it.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for listening, guys. We'll see you next week. Listen, if you're stuck and could use some advice in your business, whether you're just starting out, a veteran in the business, or expanding online or into multiple locations, you can hop on a free call with us to pick our brains at ptlegends.com/one-on-one call. You can see that in the show notes. That is with numbers. Chances are we'll be able to help you get some clarity on what you need to do specifically in your business to get to the next level. It's not a sales call. We'll connect you with the right resources to help you solve your problems. But if you want to learn more about working with us, that's cool too. We can share that information should you want it. So book your call now to get out of the rat race before your week consumes you, which is easy to do at ptlegends.com/one-on-one call. That's with the number 1 on the number 1 call. You can find this in the show notes. See you soon.